Alright, y'all, so I'm finally getting around to filming a full makeup tutorial from start to finish, and as long as my computer cooperates, it will be all in one piece. Hopefully my computer continues to cooperate, but I guess we'll see. But I'm gonna do one of my favorite looks today. It's just one of my go-to looks that I just really like. It's gonna be a burgundy and teal. A burgundy and teal look at the end of it all, which I think is a fun combination. Starting off with my Urban Decay Primer Potion in the original formula. Thus far, this is my favorite makeup primer because it does dry down a bit, so you don't really have to set it. And because you don't have to set it, the colors end up coming through more vibrantly. But yeah, Urban Decay Primer Potion. I've got one of the older packaging. I like this packaging better. I personally am not a fan of makeup that comes with a wand, just because with the wands, I don't feel like it's as sanitary because you're putting it directly onto your face usually, and that bothers me. Gonna do my brows. This is the NYX eyebrow gel. The shade I am using is black, which it's a brownish black, and it'll match a bit better. It'll match my features a little bit better once I dye my hair black again, but for now my hair is this mousy brown color, and this isn't too bad of a match. I start with a precision brush. These are the small precision brushes by e.l.f. Let me see if I can get the camera to focus on that. Doesn't seem to want to. Okay. The e.l.f. small precision brush, and it's got this sort of tip. Camera doesn't want to focus. It is what it is. But I generally line the bottom first and then line above. And then do a few little strokes. Like so. And repeating the same process on the other side. Line the bottom, line the top. and then some small strokes to fill in between. And one thing I personally like to do is dip a spoolie into my brow gel, that same brow gel, and coat the brow hairs a little bit with it, because for me, my brow hairs are a bit lighter. Somehow my natural hair color is lighter than both of my parents. Maybe I will on Friday, when I'm getting ready to go spin fire at First Fridays, maybe I'll do a get ready with me video so that y'all can see my process of getting a full performance face on. But in the meantime, let me know if that's a thing that y'all would be interested in, because I normally don't film that because I don't personally think it's that interesting, but I don't know, maybe some of you would. Okay, brows are done. Not great. And maybe I should fill in that left brow a little bit more. I didn't have enough brow gel left to fill it in as much as I did my right brow. Okay, at least they're a little bit more even now. Okay, next I am going to conceal underneath the brows, along the brow bone, to clean up the bottom. I'm going to use the NYX Gotcha Covered concealer, and the shade that I'm going to use is Alabaster. I love this concealer, but it has coconut oil, and that can sting the eyes a little bit, so just something to watch out for. I usually use a fairly flat and thin brush like this one. Fairly small, but a little bit bigger than the Precision brush, and this one's by Wet n Wild. then to make sure that blends, I'm taking just a triangle sponge and blending it in and taking away any excess product. There we go. Brows are done. Okay. Right, now we're going to start going in with the shadow. I'm using the Morphe Dare to Create 39A palette here. The main colors I'm going to be using from this palette are Forever, which is this color here, and then Passion, which is this color here. The two on the top right of the palette. Let me see. Which brush do I want to use for this piece? I want it a little bit thicker than that. This is an e.l.f. crease brush. I got it years ago. Some of the rhinestones have fallen off since I got it because it's so old. But it's just a fairly dense crease brush. And taking that first color, Forever, and as this is a crease brush, going in the crease area with it. I'm super excited for Halloween this year. It's currently the second day of Halloween, so I'm excited. This is my favorite time of year. The clothes are cuter and it's not as hot, but it's not too cold. It's just a good time of year all around. And take what little bits of happiness you can find for yourself, you know? Kind of doing an arc here, and I'm going somewhat above the crease because my eyes are hooded. My techniques won't work for everyone, but they will work for some, I think. Okay. And now we're taking that second color, Passion, and going above that other color with it a bit, but not as heavily. Not quite as heavily with this one. And we kind of blend the two together. Okay. And I will probably have to come back to these colors later. Well, I know I will have to come back to them actually. But not for this next piece. Let's see, next I probably want to cut the crease because that's just a thing to do. I'm just using the NYX Gotcha Covered Concealer and a slightly bigger brush. I think this one's actually a concealer brush. And this one's also by Wet n Wild. I don't know what costumes I'm gonna pull out this year. Trying to decide. I usually do like a fairy and or a sexy vampire, or I don't know. Things that are pretty are generally my go-to. Maybe one of them will be a princess, because I haven't done that since, I don't think I've done a princess costume since childhood, so. Oh wait, I take that back. I was 18 or 19 and did like kind of a pseudo-goth princess. It was really bad. It was not a great costume, but it is what it is. Okay. Let's see. Gonna go with the Urban Decay Color Lounge. There's several brands that make one of these. A duochrome of this particular color. This is the formula of the ones that I have that I like best. Does that mean it is actually the best formula? Well, no. There might be better formulas that exist that I haven't tried yet, or one of the ones that I don't like as well might be someone else's preference. I just personally like this one. Alright. And we're going directly over where we just put that concealer. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. I had to hit pause for a second and take care of a couple of things, but I am back. Trying to get this pigment nice and vibrant. I have so much makeup and there's still a ton of stuff that's recently been released or is up and coming to be released that I want, and I don't really need that much more makeup, but there are things that I would like to have. Okay. Now that we've got that, it's a nice burgundy to teal or maroon to teal duochrome shift that I just used, and I just put the palm of my hand directly into my palette and got makeup all over my hand because I'm just that amazing and cool and talented and graceful, especially graceful. I hope you'll know that I am totally kidding there. I am not graceful at all. Oh, I'm going back into the Forever color, that top right color, in the Morphe 39A palette with an e.l.f. pencil brush. And then redefining where I cut the crease in a darker shade. There we go. And then we blend that upward some. Take a little bit more of that color on our crease brush and blend it up. I love these colors, but the Morphe palettes don't always like to cooperate in terms of quality. They sometimes end up going on a bit patchy, or the color will just end up coming off partially, so it's not the absolute best quality makeup, but it's fairly high pigmented for a somewhat reasonable price. A lot less than you're gonna pay for like an Urban Decay palette, or even more on the high end, something like Natasha Denona or Viseart. So that's kind of where I'm standing on that. And then now I'm taking that same color, that same darker color, that Forever color, and kind of smoking underneath my eye and bringing that up more into a sort of wing. I'm usually not much of a talker, as the majority of you probably know. There are a few of you who've found out that when you get me one-on-one and I get on a topic that I'm passionate about, or I know a lot about, or something, I can get very, very chatty, but that is not my default state. I think that's the best that I'm gonna get with that color. It's a beautiful color, but the quality is not quite there. There's a Natasha Denona 5-color palette that's coming out that has this color that I'm eyeing. and hoping that Santa will give me enough money this year to purchase it for myself. Okay, I'm going back in to the color Passion in the Morphe palette and going in with a fairly fluffy brush. This one's by e.l.f. I think it's called a large shadow brush. I don't remember because they don't put any numbers on or anything on their brushes, which numbers or names on their brushes, which kind of drives me up the wall. A number and a name would be super duper handy, but at least one or the other would be nice. And that is a lot of color under my eyes, but that's gonna get cleaned up somewhat with concealer when I go in and do that part. Alright. Alright. And typically, where is it? Aha. Typically with this duochrome, I also like to go in with a bit of glitter glue and from the Urban Decay Moon Dust palette, the color Lithium sits beautifully on top of the Lounge Duochrome color. Apologies for my scatterbrainedness. It's just one of those days. Where I feel a little bit like I've lost my mind, but and I'm going back into the lithium with the same brush that I used for Lounge. Oh, the step I forgot to actually tell you was I used NYX glitter primer first because this stuff tends to have a lot of fallout and the glitter just doesn't stay very well on its own. It's a very dry formula, which, I mean, that's fine as long as you know what you have and know how to make it work for what you want it to do. I don't really see an issue with it personally. I kind of wish that they weren't marketed as eyeshadows specifically. That just because if you try to use it as a straight eyeshadow, you're not going to get much glitter out of it. But I'm not on Urban Decay's marketing team, so I don't really get a say in that. The highlighter I'm going to use for my brow bone and later on is the Wet n Wild highlighter from the Gothographic collection. It's a loose highlighting powder. Super duper cute, and this stuff has been my go-to highlighter pretty much since I got it. It is blinding and works so well. So well. If I can pop this top off. I'm a bit of an odd duck in that with highlighters like this and with loose powders in general, I do not like the sifters. To me, the sifters make bigger messes. So I try to buy things that I can pull this sifter out on, so that I can just dip directly into the product. Usually the product part that I dip into is directly on top of or on the bottom of this sifter, so that I don't get too much at once. That's actually one of the things that frustrates me about the Maybelline Fit Me loose powder is you can't pull the sifter out. So while I absolutely love that powder, on the whole, it just doesn't dispense as well as I would like it to. I just went back in with the crease brush with what was left on it, and just kind of blended that highlighter that I just added down into the matte shadows a little bit better. So it is a bit more of a blend instead of a solid line of highlight. And going in with a highlight again, just to get some of those edges smoothed, and again back over, and gonna get a little bit more of this Forever color on my brush, just so that the color doesn't get lost. A lot of, at least my makeup looks, ends up being a lot of going back and forth between colors. And that might not be everybody, but it's how I do things, it's what works for me, and that's just kind of how I make sure that the things that the looks that I create turn out like I want them to. Okay. Alright. Let's see. So, I think the shadow is pretty much done. I can't 100% guarantee say that I won't go back over any bits of it, because, like, you see I'm already going back over this now, but for the most part, there's the eyeshadow. And I'm gonna go ahead and leave this highlighter open, which, you know, that might be, I might live to regret that later, but for now I'll keep it open. And then we're gonna go in with the rest of the face. That was not my primer. That was foundation, and not even the foundation I wanted to use. Heavy size. There we go. Primer I'm using is the Kat Von D Lock-It Featherweight Primer. I am no longer supporting the company, and when I can afford to replace this, when it runs out and I can afford to replace this with something by a company that I like better, I will, but for now, this is what I have, so it's what I'm going to use. And just using Beauty Blender type sponge that I got at Walmart to put the primer on. Need another pumper too to cover my forehead with. Too many things in my hands at once. There we go. Oh, I use these little plastic shot glasses to hold my beauty blenders, because they're just kind of the perfect size. They do everything I need to. Although I do sometimes wish there were more air coming through the bottom, but they work well enough. I'm using the Maybelline Fit Me Matte Poreless Foundation in the shade number 105, which is Fair Ivory. if you can actually see that. But a little bit frustrating that this foundation does not have a pump and you just have to directly pour it out onto whatever you're using to place it, but it's a good quality foundation and is definitely my newest go-to. I feel like there's not really a ton that needs to be said about foundation. I got like 2 days of sun this summer, and that was enough to make my skin too dark for this color. When I don't get any sun, I am hella pale, but just a couple days in the sun definitely gives me a darker shade. Yeah. Even when I burn, 9 times out of 10, that burn will turn into a tan as opposed to peeling. Unless I've been really badly burnt. Okay. Alright. I think I'm gonna go in with the smaller sponge, and I think these ones were made by the company Whispers. Another Walmart brand. But this teeny tiny size is fairly useful to get in some of those nooks and crannies. I'm gonna go in with some more of this NYX Gotcha Covered concealer and just put a very light coating of it under the eye. And then go back over it with some more of the foundation. The foundation because over the top of it, because the concealer is actually a light kind of peachy color and it's a little bit darker than my foundation color. So the overall look is better if I cover it up with a little bit of foundation. Okay. And now I'm going in with my Maybelline Fit Me powder. Underneath the eyes, putting the powder on with my sponge. Some people bake, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I'm more likely to bake if I've got a performance, but not always. Kinda just depends on how I'm feeling on any given day. And it's okay if you get a little bit of powder on your brows. You can just take a spoolie, clean, dry spoolie, and brush that little bit of powder out. And you don't need a ton of powder, especially with a matte finish foundation, but it's still generally a good idea on the whole. To use at least some. I never do my makeup without setting it, but my skin is so oily on the regular, so kinda have to set it. Alright. Good grief. Covered in setting powder now. Gonna go in with the NYX contour powder. Gonna use this second color from the right, HCPS 07 according to the back panel, which is for sculpting. And do a contour. I usually go from about here and follow the line kind of straight down to my mouth. Now, whether or not that's the correct line to use for this, not 100% certain, but it seems to work well enough for me. And I'm not using a ton of product with this because well, there's just, it's a fairly high pigment color and I am wickedly pale, so not a lot is needed. Going in with that same color, a Wet n Wild contour brush. The other contour brush was an e.l.f. contour brush. I'm so bad at remembering to say what I'm actually using. I tend to put some concealer around the face, or contour around the face down here, because it helps blend the foundation into the neckline a little bit better. And then concealer, why do I keep calling it concealer? Contour right around the temple, and actually put a bit on this side just so that they're even. And then I'm going to go with this slightly warmer color, HCPS 05, which is tan according to this, and that is a decent color for bronzer. A non-shimmery bronzer. Why do so many bronzers have shimmer? I don't get it, because I don't know about you, but in the places that I'm putting bronzer, I generally don't want shimmer. Like around the forehead area, I don't get it. Okay. For blush, I think I'm going to go in with one of the shades in my BH Cosmetics Blush Neutrals palette. These two shades in this corner are both shades that I really like. I'm going to use a Wet n Wild blush brush and pick up a little bit of both colors. This brush is one of my favorites for laying blush on, because it is such a fluffy brush that you're not going to get way too much pigment like you might with a denser brush. and this one is super soft and fluffy, and it's synthetic. And I've had good luck with my Wet n Wild brushes not pulling apart on me. And I've been known to abuse my brushes a little bit, so. So for them to not end up looking raggedy and pull apart and everything is actually kind of an accomplishment, if I'm being quite honest. And I'm going to go in with that same brush that I used for contour, except I'm going to clean it off in between with a BH Cosmetics Color Switch sponge. I think they pretty much all work the same. You could use a stipple sponge or go to the dollar store, go to the hair section and get one of those hair donuts, and I found those to be quite effective as well. But for this, it's extremely important to clean it off in between, because I'm going into highlight now, which is so different from contour and bronzer. It is the opposite. See, I don't know how well you can see that on screen, but this highlighter is freaking blinding in person. And let's see. Oh, I didn't do my nose contour. Where did I put my contour palette now? Aha! Contour palette. Let's see. I think I'm going to use the BH Cosmetics 104 for this bit, and I'm going to do the Sculpt color again and do my nose contour. And again, you don't need a lot. No, I haven't forgotten about finishing my eyes. I promise you that's coming. And then taking one of these fluffy eyeshadow brushes, not sure if this was one of the ones that I used for the darker color, so cleaning it off with my color switch and going down the nose with this highlighting color. Oof. That was a lot of highlight. So shiny. Let me tone that back down a little bit. And then highlight just above the brow bone here. Just a little bit to make it sparkle. And going back in with the pencil brush, which I just cleaned the pigment off with my color switch, and grabbing some highlighter and just highlighting the inner corner with this. Okay. And highlight above the brow bone. Just again with the contour highlight brush with not a whole lot of product on it, just whatever's left over. I went back and blended a bit of that highlight in. Alright. Had to step away for a sec, but I'm back now. Alright, now we're gonna finish off the eyes. I'm using one of the Urban Decay 24/7 pencils. I believe the original black pencil is 0. Yes, 0. I never did get one of the Perversion ones, which is supposed to be ultra black, so I'll probably eventually get around to getting one when I can afford it, but it's just not a high priority for me. But that one's good for doing the waterline. Some people like having the waterline done, others hate it. Personally, I like it. Oh, it doesn't feel complete to me unless I've done the waterline. Now, if I'm doing like a Psycho Baby Doll kind of look, I'll use white in the waterline instead, but which I have done before. Let me know if you want to see me recreate a psycho, broken, bloody baby doll kind of look, because that one was kind of fun. Okay. Let's see, where are eyelash curler. Okay. Curling the lashes. And doing a wing with the NYX Epic Ink Liner. This is like the blackest black liner. Kind of a black as my soul sort of color, but it's whatevs. And with the wing, you generally want to follow your lower lash line, follow that curve. When you flick it out, it took me forever to figure out the best angle to follow with it, because no one actually says that when they're doing any kind of tutorials or instructions or whatever. And I messed up that liner a little bit. Going back over with some of the Urban Decay Moon Dust Lithium color. Then walking back over it with the black, just so that we have a nice clean line. Lots of people will tightline their upper lash line. They'll even put a pencil up in there. Personally, I've tried it and I find it itchy, and for me it doesn't make that big of a difference in the look. Oh, look at that. That's one thing I don't like about the NYX Epic Ink liner, is just how much it's likely to transfer before it actually dries. It's a trade-off and a balancing act. Where did I put that? Aha! Concealer brush. And then back in the foundation. Okay. Alright, now we've got the liner done, the eyeliner done. Gonna go in with the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara. Actually, on the left eye, I should go back in with the pencil brush and clean it up. just a little bit more. Okay. One thing that does help with the Epic ink liner that I forgot to do is to take a paper towel or something of that ilk and just tap it on to a paper towel a couple of times, and it'll remove some of that excess pigment that's so drippy, because it is kind of drippy. Got eyeliner on my finger. Normally I wouldn't mind too much, except I don't want to end up getting eyeliner where I don't mean to. And if the eyeliner is on my finger, there's a decent probability that it'll end up elsewhere as well. So I'm gonna put eyelash glue on my eyelashes and wait for a few moments to let it get tacky before I actually put it on. The Benefit Real False Lashes Invisible Lash Glue has become my go-to because it is a clear lash glue that is latex free, that isn't the brush on kind. The brush on stuff, the tube always gets super gunky on me, and I end up wasting half the product that way, and that just isn't great. Plus, I'm not a big fan of my containers not being clean. Anyone going through my makeup would probably look at me like I'm weird, like, how do you keep your makeup so nice and neat and clean? Especially with as much as I use it, and that I clean off the containers every step of the way after use. Okay, these Ardell No Slip liquid lip liners are pretty neat. If they're working. Let me... There we go. I'm not great at doing my lips. I'm proficient enough with it, but would like to be better at it. And just gonna go in over the top of that with just a regular NYX retractable lip liner in the color Dark Red, MPL 12. Okay. And then the Too Faced Melted Matte Liquefied Matte Longwear lipstick. The color I'm using is Evil Twin. Right. Not quite as straight as I'd like it to be, but it'll do. Alright. And now I'm going to attempt to put these lashes on. And that definitely did not want to stick. Alright, that's one lash down, one more to go. And I don't remember if I said the lashes that I'm using or not, but these ones are literally Dollar Tree lashes. And let me clean my tweezers off so they don't stick to the edges of the lashes while I'm trying to get them pressed down a little bit more. Okay. Okay. Alright, and a lot of the time I will go back in after I've got the lashes on and just with my mascara blend it a little bit better. And I typically go back over the top side with my black liner too. Alright, and there you have it. I have finished this look. If you stayed with me for the whole tutorial, thank you so much. I really appreciate you watching. Let me know if you liked what I did here today, and if you want to see more, and let me know what you want to see. Alright, thanks. Bye.